SBN, Sports Business Now. SBN is a division of Row 27, the digital sports marketing company, celebrating 5 years of creating TV spots, intro videos, and microsites for over 150 teams. See our work at row27.com. And by FanMaker, digital marketing tools for sports teams, featuring FanMaker Rewards, the most comprehensive and popular fan loyalty and reward system. Learn more about our apps at fanmaker.com. SBN Live.
Hey sports fans, welcome to SBN Live episode 32, where sports marketing and technology meet. I'm joined here by Row 27 account executives Blake Risner and Tim Dobbins. We're going to kind of hop right in, but first, guys, how you doing? Blake, how's the day going?
It's going great.
You just came back. You were down at the Sunbelt Media Day, correct?
Correct. Sunbelt Conference Football Media Day in New Orleans, hosted at the Superdome there. First-class event, first-class facility. Had a great time down there, and yeah, it was awesome.
Well, we're glad to have you back. Tim, how are things going?
It's going pretty well. It's my birthday today, actually, so been kind of waiting and seeing what big present you guys have been hiding for me. I know it's here. Just don't know what it is yet.
I wish you happy birthday. That's about all you're going to get from me. I'm not that sentimental.
You're good at keeping secrets.
Yeah, that's
so
what's going on.
excited for my present.
Well, let's hop in. We're going to start with a story about the NCAA as it's ending its video game contract with EA Sports. They've just said that, you know, it's not in the organization's best use moving forward. A lot of this has to do with the Ed O'Bannon litigation that's going on. So a partnership that has lasted a number of years, produced some of the best football games that are out there, is coming to a close in the sense that it is. But the NCAA does point out that individual schools and leagues can license their own logos and names to the game and are still free to do so. It just won't have the NCAA tag mark to it. Blake, I don't know how much of a gamer you are, but, you know, what are your thoughts on this, that it's kind of an end of a legacy for college football and EA Sports?
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I was a senior in high school, kind of dating myself and letting everybody know how old I am, particularly. But, yeah, about 2001, that game came out, and it was just a game changer. Everybody loved it, had great graphics, you know, had all those great teams that you could be a part of, and had that NCAA brand, I think, which was really important. You know, the thing I always wondered why I couldn't see the players' names on the back of their jerseys. That's the reason this big lawsuit. So kind of unfortunate that that's kind of taking place. But, yeah, we'll see where the game goes from here without having that NCAA brand attached to it.
Right, and they always say EA Sports says that the players in there are not representative of the players that are on the field. They won't put their names on there, but it's always interesting how number 15 for the Florida Gators looks exactly like Tim Tebow the next year. So obviously they want to try to pattern it after there, and that's where you come into the issues. Tim, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have the gaming history like Blake does. I was kind of stuck to Tecmo Super Bowl, but I think it's kind of almost a last-ditch attempt by the NCAA to almost get some mitigating circumstances. If they do end up having to speak for it in court, just to show that they've made an attempt to kind of distance themselves from the very thing that they're being sued for. So maybe trying to kind of garner some goodwill before the hammer is brought down, so to speak. I think, ultimately the damage has kind of been done already. Maybe in the long run it'll end up saving them some money by cutting this relationship off now. But if they do have to kind of retroactively pay those royalties to the players, I think that, it's the damage has already been done.
Well, NCAA Football 2014 is going to be the last one available of this franchise, so collectors out there, make sure to get it. I'm sure in 20 years it'll be worth something.
What do you think about the individual schools contracting without the NCAA?
It'll be interesting. I could see some of the bigger schools that are very involved in some of their own licensing doing something like this. It almost seems like you'd want to have a number of schools that do it, because if you just had 3-4 schools, what's the point of having college football 2014 or 2015, whatever that it's going to be? But I think you'll need some big name schools, and you'll need at least most of the BCS level schools involved.
Yeah, it'd be kind of funky to see, an Auburn-Alabama game, but if Auburn didn't contract, you'd have like Alabama versus,
Middle Tennessee State,
Alabama Tech, like a made-up team. So.
Well, we'll just get Blake on it. He's got a lot of good contacts down there, and he'll
Yes, he does.
he'll get it involved.
Yeah,
But
could you see the conferences doing it at that level?
yeah, I could see the conferences doing it just to keep it going, to get all the entire teams. So maybe they just come out with an SEC football game. I don't know. It's a powerhouse in itself, so why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, one relationship comes to an end. Another one is possibly going to start down in Miami. How long it lasts, we don't know. The story is David Beckham plans to unveil an MLS franchise once again in South Beach. They had a team a number of years ago. When he signed his contract with the MLS, Beckham had rights to purchase a team and put it in a city that he wanted. And the speculation is that he's aiming for Miami. Like I said, it didn't work before, but maybe with the star power of a name like Beckham and how the MLS has advanced in a number of years, it'll be interesting to see how this works. Blake, a former Miami resident, I want to get your perspective on this. You know that there's always a lot going down in the South Beach area. What are your thoughts on this team going down there? And, if it does happen, is it going to work?
Yeah, Miami's definitely a tough market. So many opportunities for entertainment. Where are you going to spend the entertainment dollar? So sports, it's a really tough draw. I actually worked for now currently the NASL Strikers, and it's just pulling them away from the beach, pulling them away from what's going on down in South Beach, the food, the shopping, everything that's going on down there. It's a really tough sell. The MLS has done a great job in the past few years, really growing their fan base, really seeing a lot of good success. So. In theory, South Beach always seems like a great place to bring a team, but it's always just really difficult down there.
Yeah, and Tim, you and I were talking before. The Fusion, as they were known, was located in Fort Lauderdale, so not exactly right in the hubbub of things. So how much do you think that had an effect on it, and just your overall thoughts on the news?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think Fort Lauderdale is about, 30, 35 miles away from downtown Miami. So, it's going to have sort of a different feel, a different culture. The people might have their own identity. They'll see them as residents of Fort Lauderdale and not necessarily Miamians. So when you bring a team to Fort Lauderdale, yet branded as the Miami Fusion, that could potentially upset some of the Fort Lauderdale residents who want their own brand name, their own city name on that team. But yeah, a couple other points I want to make about that. David Beckham has shown kind of an ability to be that brilliant business person within the sports industry. He and Posh Spice, I guess, together. I think they make tens of millions of dollars annually off their fragrance lines, apparel lines, and stuff like that. So it seems pretty likely that he'll give the MLS the best chance to succeed in Miami. Also, you got all three of the MLS's television contracts running up at the end of the 2014 season, which probably not coincidentally will coincide with the end of the 2014 World Cup. So that'll give them additional leverage if they do have that team in Miami to kind of get those television contracts even higher.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. He's probably going to want his own MLS-specific stadium. He's going to want this or that. And with the MLS, they took maybe a year or two off, but they just announced New York is getting a team. I know that, here in Minneapolis, the Wilfs are going to want to bring a team once they get their new stadium. So it'll be interesting. Blake, any more comments on the matter?
Yeah, I think star power can definitely influence this situation here. Miami's kind of number 3 now behind New York and L.A., where you're seeing a lot of people just come out just to be seen at the games. So, a star like David Beckham, he can definitely bring in the local celebrities and get them involved in the franchise. Are they going to stick around? Like true fans, or the real avid fans? I don't want to say true fans, but some of those other avid fans that aren't necessarily there just to be seen. That remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, well, maybe if LeBron keeps his talents in South Beach, maybe he'll become an investor as well and get the star duo up there with Beckham and LeBron running the team. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Another interesting story in the news involves Reebok. And, Tim, I'm going to shoot this over to you.
Sounds good, yeah. So speaking of shaking things up, like in Miami, we got a Reebok and MC10 have developed a concussion sensing test. Basically, it's a sensor that kind of goes around your head like a bandana, but then it has an additional attachment that goes to your neck. And it senses, you can see it on the video board there. And it'll be able to light up in green, yellow, or red colors depending on the severity of the collision. This technology is already kind of being used in the U.S. Army and the helmets there, so this will be the first potential sports application with it, football and potentially hockey as well. But it's interesting to see, whether it'll be adopted by the NFL sooner rather than later or at all. Players are probably not going to want to wear it during games, but on the NFL side, it could, provide some shelter from future lawsuits if the players are informed exactly of what kind of hits they're taking. Thoughts on that?
I think it's great with the news of concussions going on in the world. I think it's a great thing. This has been in development by Reebok and MC10 for quite a while, and now it's actually finally on the market, $150. But it's going to give just another sense of knowledge to parents that are out there with their kids. I could see this taking shape in a lot of other helmet sports, lacrosse, hockey, just so somebody gets a check into the boards, you're going to be able to automatically see that light as you're a coach or a trainer. So I think it's great for youth sports, definitely for them, just because the prevalence of brain injuries coming up. But it's interesting. It'll be, like you mentioned, how many pro players are actually going to get involved with this, how many people actually want to know the injuries that they've sustained to their brain. So, Blake, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, kind of what you guys touched on, the youth and pro applications. I mean, there's a lot of pro players that no matter how hard they get hit, they want to stay in the game, they want to play. So, but on the flip side of that coin, player safety being at an utmost, if Mike Shanahan had one of these devices attached to RG3's knee, he would have known exactly when to pull him out. But, I think youth definitely, it'd be an awesome thing to know exactly when a young child is in a situation where they should probably be taken out of a game. I'm sure I've rung my bell quite a few times playing youth sports, and
Is there a knee concussion test in development?
Pretty sure. Pretty soon we'll be wearing an entire suit that'll tell you exactly where the injury is and what happened. So
tell you where you're hurt. Your left pinky hurts.
But
right.
I think it is great that we'll have that flashing light, so even an official might see it. They see a kid kind of wobbling around. They see this flashing light. They'll know that, hey, this kid needs to go out of the game. He needs to get checked. So it's a good step forward. Obviously, they still need to do work with helmets and other protective equipment to help prevent these. But this will, give you that check light to know what's going on.
It's kind of interesting, if you have a star player that has his, his sensor light up red right before a key play of the game, what happens then? I mean, will you be required to take the guy out or, leave him in if he says he's okay? Or, it obviously makes it more kind of objective and measurable, but it could have some applications like that would be interesting based on strategy and, needing to leave players in the game. So.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of players will just say that the thing's malfunctioning when it's starting to blink and say, I'm good. Yep. Staying on the tech front, Tim, you've got another story here involving Google.
Yep, so seeing things in a new way. The NFL and Google Glass recently had not necessarily a partnership, but Sam Bradford of the St. Louis Rams connected with his new rookie receiver, Tavon Austin, the first NFL test of Google Glass. So basically what happened is Bradford wore the Google Glass, as did Austin, and they just ran some routes on the field and then showed the videotape from each player's perspective. So what's cool is that you can see exactly what they're seeing, you can hear what they're saying. So it gives you that's the closest that you will ever be to a player. It almost makes you feel like you are that player. I think it's pretty cool, especially for coaches to figure out what their players are seeing.
The one thing that I liked if you can see the video is that Sam Bradford was able to pull up Tavon Austin's feed. So he just said, bring up Austin's feed, and he was able to see what his receiver saw. So this, obviously, Blake, they're not going to use it in a game, but for practice purposes, this gives, coaches something that they can rely on, see, if the quarterback's going through his progressions, see if he's just missing on his throws, and also get the receiver's perspective on how he's running the route. Maybe he needs to do something different. Maybe he needs to look to a different spot. But it's for practices. I think this is going to be great. Basketball, football, whatever the sport might be, but giving that perspective. As you can see here on the screen, we've got Bradford putting him on. So you're going to see here in a second that he's taking the snap, throwing it. And it's a pretty cool technology, and we've talked about Google Glass before. But, like I said, Blake, what are your thoughts on this? You're not going to use it in a game, but practice, it could make for a perfect application.
Oh, yeah, it could be a great coaching tool. The more tape you get, the better.
Right.
So I'm sure this is going to drive the tape guys crazy. Just another thing for them to worry about. But, like you said, seeing where that receiver puts his hands up, where to look for the ball, why did they miss that play? Just breaking down the film and getting to the why, just to help increase performance on the field. I think it could have a big application there. And then, the same thing what Tim touched on, just content. I sat and watched some Viking video of their practice. They had a GoPro mounted up to the helmet, and just kind of perspective and give you that additional wow factor. I mean, these guys are truly amazing athletes, and to see kind of first person what they're seeing and what they're doing on a daily basis, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if you have, a lot of fans want to say, if they wake up in the morning and be like, man, I wish I was Sam Bradford today. That's basically as close as you're ever going to get to that real experience. So, I think it's kind of the ultimate behind-the-scenes content.
Yeah, and especially for fans, I mean, we talked about practice, but, if you're going to a training camp and maybe you can have a Google Glass rental and they can sit there and go through it as training camp is going on and get the perspectives of these players. It could be really cool if there was a format where they could implement it into a game and, you're sitting in the stands, and then you can still get that home experience, like you're sitting there watching your big screen TV. It could really be a game changer, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes and how the technology advances in the next couple of years.
What I'd like to see is Usain Bolt put on some Google Glass for one of his races. That'd be neat.
Just to see how fast that his body
feel
is,
like a cheetah
physically moving.
for a while. Yeah.
Blake, any final comments?
Yeah, get a first-person experience for any type of athletic event. Wow,
exactly,
that'd be insane.
Yeah, well, like I said, it'll be interesting to see where it all goes with sports and technology. Everything's limitless. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Check us out on Twitter at SBN Now or online at sportsbusinessnow.com. We won't be live next week, but check us out on Thursday, August 1st, 4 p.m. Eastern, with an all-new edition of SBN Live.
SBN Sports Business Now.